City of Midnight. The next City of Midnight? The next City of Midnight. Oh, well. Let's get rid of that. The next City of Midnight, right, yes. I wouldn't know. Diane Kennedy, hi. Jenna, hey, sounds good. Muffled voice. Is my voice muffled? This might be because I don't have this pulled forward. I need to pull this. There we go. I need to pull that a bit closer because I'm talking ahead of it and not directly into my microphone. It would have been fine had I started recording just then, but I'm not quite there. You got a cup of dark and stormy night brewing right now. Oh, that's actually what I drink while I'm recording is dark and stormy night. It's a strong, really strong tea, so it's something that actually keeps me awake. Cameron, thank you so much for ordering some dark and stormy night. Beat. Oh my god, Dead Island 2 second DLC. Nice. Let me get what we have for today. I think we're gonna do the first. We do the individuals ones first. Or we do. We'll do individuals first, huh? The eye. Eye. And then we'll start. I'll end by doing a few of the parts of the larger one. I think, if maybe just one part, just so that like it gets you guys a little bit like ready for it, as opposed to maybe something else. Yeah, so that would be probably for the best. I don't want you all to feel like you've listened ahead and you know everything. When it comes out, I want you to feel like it's still something new and interesting. So I don't want to give you like the entire of a series during the live recording. Otherwise, you won't show up later, right? Can we consider this ASMR if you'd like to? For you guys who are watching on YouTube, this is what I generally do on Twitch. Twitch.tv/MrCreepyPasta. So I'll play video games sometimes on Twitch. For the most part, I play video games. But whenever it's time to record for the channel, I will do streams like this. I rarely do them on YouTube, but I will do them on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow Mr. Creepypasta on Twitch, you'll be able to find more of me more often. But of course, there's this. So yeah. The Blue Rose medley is amazing. Erica, I'm glad you like that one. That one's actually teamed with Stephanie Swan Quills, who's another voice actress we work with quite a lot. She's also on Twitch. So, Ken, thank you so much. The reason why I'm streaming on Twitch today as well as on YouTube is because, once again, we're doing stuff for the Kitten charity. And I think we do not... Let me grab this. I think we have some new stuff for the Kitten charity I haven't shared. Yeah, I don't think I shared this to YouTube last time, so let me go ahead and put it on here. There we go. It's probably too big. Yeah, it is. Well, you know what? Let's make this big. The Night Shift, which is my stream team. We're streaming for the Kitten Rescue of Northwest San Antonio. There's my Twitch down there, Mr. Creepypasta, and a couple of the rewards we're doing, since it's going to be going on from April 21st to May 4th. We we are doing a couple different rewards. We've already passed the first two. So Pin, who is Pin Bun on Twitch, gets to shave my head. It hasn't happened yet. I still have hair. But there will be photos and everything on Instagram and on Twitter when that happens, probably here too. Next is a Jackbox stream, should be coming on Thursday. There'll be a Party Animal stream, and Talisman, I think, is probably what we're going to end up getting as well, for sure. A couple of other things that'll end up happening. Bean Boozle will take place, Stoke Upon Kingdom. There'll be Fortnite streams, VR chat streams, male Docky designs. So if you want to get a Mr. Creepypasta Docky design, if we reach that goal, that'll come from Pink Enigma. You guys will recognize Pink Enigma. She also did all the artwork for Tales from the Gas Station and for at the Snake's Paw podcast. If you guys like Tales from the Gas Station, or if you like Jack Townsend, his podcast, she actually does the designs for that one. She streams along with us. Some art streams. We managed to make it to 7K on the fundraiser. Icy Pants, thank you so much. If we manage to make it to 7K on the fundraiser, I will be streaming making Muppets. If you guys have been around the channel long enough, you know I make Muppets. I've made Muppets of me, Creeps, and Junior way back when. I will do it again. Also, if we manage to make it to 10K on the fundraiser, I personally will bring back Cooking with MCP. I've seen a lot of you guys make comments and like tweets at me about like when am I doing another Cooking with MCP? I haven't done that in so long, but I will bring the series back for YouTube if we make it to that point. So I'm sick in the ER. You make it better, Jesus. Icy Pants. I hope you do better, dude. Being sick in the ER sucks. So I really hope that you make it back. You make it out of there okay. Need the gumbo, please. Do you want me to do you want me to do a cooking with MCP, but like the gumbo stream? Is that what you want? I'll make that happen. I'll do one about making gumbo if we manage to hit that one. James Goosebumps, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Let me get one more thing on here. I want to go ahead and add it to our list, which is the kitten overlay. Okay, yeah, this is the one, I think. This is the alerts, which will also kind of set us up for in case anybody wants to be able to donate or do stuff during stream. You'll have that link there, and it'll also let us see anybody else. If you guys donate during stream, it'll show up there on that list. That's pretty good. If you guys have to go during stream, there's no worries about it, dude. I just appreciate you popping in and giving me like a couple minutes of your time, so it's all good. Cody Lee says Tales from the Gas Station is amazing. However, I'd like to see more of Jeff the Killer 2015. You guys have been asking about Jeff the Killer 2015 so much lately. Like, that's okay. I'll do it. I'll do Jeff the Killer 2015. Tell you what, if we can get a couple of donations to the charity today, I will just pull up the next Jeff the Killer 2015. I will record it on the live stream today. So I'll do that. Okay, I'll make it happen if that's really what you want. It'll be a long fucking stream. I'll say that because I have to. I'm gonna have to get all my voices redone for that because I don't exactly remember the voices for it. But oof. Hit that like button. Yes, please hit the like button. How's it going, Dale? I see you in there. I'm putting this in here. We're going to talk about the kitten charity, and then I'll start recording the first story. Are you a lover of all things cute and cuddly? Do you believe in making a difference in the lives of those who need it most? Kitten Rescue NW, a local kitten rescue based in San Antonio, Texas, run by a group of dedicated individuals who have poured their hearts and retirement savings into saving these precious little lives. But they can't do it alone. With overfilled fosters and a growing number of cats and kittens in need, they're reaching out for your help. From April 21st to May 4th, join us in our mission to raise funds for the Kitten Rescue. Your donation will go directly to supporting the construction of their new facility, providing a safe haven for these furry friends. Every dollar counts. Help support the rescue through ko-fi.com/kittenrescuenw, or you can always go directly to kittenrescuenw.org. Together, we can make a difference. And if you're looking to expand your family, Kitten Rescue Northwest offers adoptions to any city in the U.S. with Southwest Airlines access. These little furballs are ready to find their forever homes. So join the cause, stream, donate, adopt, and spread the word along with the night shift. Together, let's get these kittens the love and care they deserve. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that off before it repeats. But we'll have that here. Just we'll probably bring it back at some point. I'm gonna turn that off so it doesn't loop. But let's get on to the first story I have lined up for you guys today, which is gonna be the eye. You guys, please go ahead and continue to chat. I can't respond to all the chats whenever I'm doing recordings, clearly. But if you guys would like to chat, I still have the window open. I can see what you say. I'll try to react whenever I can. For you guys who are watching on Twitch, all of the All the things are still turned on. You guys can still go fishing and such. I just have it muted so it won't make any sounds while I'm recording. Have a seat, they offered. That unyielding, uncaring beast of torture who beckons sweetly to beat you at the mouth of hell. You've been here before. How could you have forgotten? Your mind remembers the last torturous exchange at the hands of the Eye. Has it been that long already? Seems like only yesterday that you sat before this device and were made quivering supplicant before its undeniable power. You beg with them, you plead with them. You offer them excuses that each ring more hollow than the one before. But they smile their implacable smile and tell you it's a part of it, and you must have a seat. Then you're down at eye level with the device of unimaginable horror. You stare unblinkingly into the eye of some dark, elder god that loves you not. The device, the torture. The torturous abomination of man stares back at you with its soulless eye, full of nothing but the dark knowledge of your pain. And as you sit staring into it, you find yourself. You find your hatred of it lost amidst the dark miasma of nothingness within it. Its implacable gaze fixed upon you, and then the waiting begins. The waiting. The waiting is the worst. As the crucial operator of pain takes their place, you stare into the eye and wonder who the blow... As the cruel operator of pain takes their place, you stare into the eye and wonder when the blow will come. The eye of this great terror hangs before you, staring. The eye of this great terror hangs before you, staring, staring, staring. And you know in your heart that it is just as unmovable as the one who wakes it. They think they understand it, understand the power it represents, but could either of you truly understand this thing? If God appears before us, if the sky split open and some towering eye looked down through the tear, could any of us really understand it? Our thoughts and prayers and feelings and terrors are all insignificant as the white noise before the eye of this nightmare creature that sits a mere nose length from your precious eye. Oh God, it's moving. As it moves and slides and takes its position, you suddenly wish for the waiting again. The waiting was worse, but the waiting was safe. And now this monstrosity is alive. It takes its time. As it goes into position, its movements more graceful than any hunting cat. It stalks your tender orb. What does it want? Why doesn't it just get it over with? You're powerless before it. Even if you could rise, you wouldn't. As it takes its time and finds the most delicate part of your treasured eye, you wait and hunch and hope you're ready for It strikes! A single dry puff into your already exposed eye, and you jump. And you writhe with fright and imagined pain, and then you laugh. Of course, you laugh because it's such an insignificant puff of air. You hardly notice the other eye as similar breath of the beast, fell air assault, and this mistress of pain and anguish declares you done. She invites you to rise and move away from a machine that could never hurt you, could never threaten you. You forget your fear and you forget your terror, but How well we remember it when it comes time to stand before the eye again. Short and sweet. I've been saying I want to get more I want to get more short stories out there so that I can really kind of pad back up. I want to get my schedule back up the way it was. It's a difficult thing to get like those like consistently getting those 40-minute stories like every like 5 times a week like I used to. That's oof, that's fine. We have other things to do. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Perfect. Shadow of her former self. You can do it. Still the best storyteller. He's gonna never retire. The second part of my Tiny Town got put on lockdown. Yes, Jedi Kakarot. I do want to do more of that one. I'd really love to. None of my messages have been going through. They have. I see you, Simba. Or that is, I just see those 2 messages. So just the question saying why are none of my messages going through? Mr. Black Pasta again? I haven't seen him in a long time. It all started when my wife died 8 months ago. Susan was everything to me. We'd been together since high school, in love at first sight. We married after graduation, and we'd spent 18 years together in wedded bliss. I worked as a writer, finding jobs in editing or column writing. Susan working as a receptionist for a friend of my mother. We spent a lot of time together. My days spent mostly waiting for her to come home. I lived for the moments when we were sitting in front of the TV together, curled together in bed as we talked about our day. We never had children. Though it wasn't for a lack of trying. It was, I was afraid she'd leave me when she discovered I was infertile. I'd been injured when I was small, but she just smiled, said, we just have to be satisfied with each other. It was never something that we struggled with. I mean, instead of kids, we gave each other our full attention. We traveled as often as we could. We ate out often. We had date nights at least once a week. We loved each other more than anyone else we knew. Susan was my everything, and I hoped I was hers. She never gave me any doubt that it was so. And those 18 years were the happiest time of my life. They weren't enough, though. A million years wouldn't have been enough. I was writing something for some rag that Susan liked to read when I got the call. She had looked over my shoulder that morning before she left, cooing appreciatively, as I edited a piece from one of her favorite writers, other than me, of course. She wanted to read it when I was done, and I promised I'd let her see it when she got home. I'd been invited to write a column, too, something they might let me do more often, if it did well. I just started fleshing it out when I decided it was time for a second cup of coffee. Now, the coffee maker was blurbling happily, filling my lug with liquid happiness when my phone rang. thought it might be Susan, letting me know that she had made it to work. I almost didn't answer when I saw it was an unknown number. Telemarketers have been particularly bad lately. The last thing I wanted was another conversation with someone who wanted to sell me solar panels or extend the warranty on my car. Turned out it was the police. There had been an accident. They were sorry, but she had passed away. Very quickly. Like, instantly. Hadn't felt any pain. My cup smashed as it hit the floor, soaking my feet in hot coffee. My cup smashed as it hit the floor, soaking my feet in hot coffee as I gripped the counter for support. I would need support for the next few months. I was a wreck. My wife had been my whole world, and now suddenly I was alone. I couldn't even go into the bedroom for the first 2 weeks. It smelled like her. Her pictures were everywhere. And I slept on the couch a lot on those days. I didn't even go in there to get my suit. I just bought a new one off the rack for the funeral. It was small. Neither of us had a lot of family or friends, but the girls from the doctor's office were very supportive, very sorry to lose such a dear friend. We buried her in Mountain Hills, the cemetery not far from the house. And after they lowered her into the ground, I just sat there, trying to figure out what to do now. I was still sitting there when the guys from the funeral home came to pick up the chairs. Sun setting behind me as I watched the hole in the ground where my wife now lay. Mom, sorry for your loss, mister, but you gotta pack these up now. Got up, drove home, and just sort of sat on the couch. When the sun came up, I was still sitting there. This became a pattern. The next 2 months were kind of a blur, honestly. I lived my life like that quote from Forrest Gump. When I was tired, I slept. When I was hungry, I ate. When I had to go, I went. I really didn't leave the house unless I had to, and when I did, I walked. I didn't trust cars after that, but I was so lost at this point in my life. She had been my everything, my whole world, and I just didn't know how to get by without her. I didn't work. My contracts quickly dried up. I wasn't working on my books either, and I had fallen into a deep funk. If something hadn't pulled me out, I would have probably wasted away right there. But thankfully, something did. That was when the gifts started showing up. The first one came on Valentine's Day, though I know now that it was no accident. I had stepped out in the evening to check the mail, and there it was on the stoop. I almost stepped on it. That would have been a shame, because someone had left my favorites. Sitting there was a bouquet of wildflowers, a box of those dark chocolate truffles Susan had always bought me, and a card. I was stunned for a moment, not quite believing what I was seeing. This was just the sort of thing that she would do, too. And I was expecting her to jump around the corner and surprise me. Susan hadn't been very large, a wisp of a thing, but she liked to scare people and found it hilarious when she managed to do it. As the minutes stretched by and no scares seemed incoming, I picked up the stuff and I brought it inside. I put the flowers in some water. Never gotten flowers before, but I remembered that much. And I set the chocolates on the table. I opened the card and found a pretty generic card. Flipping it open to see who had sent it, I snorted as I read it, wondering whose bright idea this had been. Feeling a little better nonetheless. From your secret admirer was written inside. The handwriting fine and spidery. As I ate the chocolates, I felt the tears come on unbidden. The taste, the smell, it all reminded me of Valentine's Day past. We'd sit and watch a movie, curled up on the couch together while she munched at her Ferrero Rocher. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Curled up on the couch together while she munched at her chocolates and my chocolate truffles. We'd trade sometimes, and I wish now that I could see her eyes light up as I handed her one of my chocolates again. I passed out on the couch a little later, but my dreams were a little brighter that night. After that, I started finding other gifts, food from my favorite Chinese place, candy, books by writers I liked. One time someone even delivered a seafood feast from Sir Crabbington's, and I was halfway through it before I realized it was mine and Susan's wedding anniversary. I waited till after I had finished before crying this time, but the tears were still there. I never questioned these gifts, but I never looked for them either. I assumed they were from friends or from the girls of the office she had worked at. Their dedication was heartwarming if it was. My wife must have talked about me a lot for them to know my favorite foods and snacks, and I was honestly just happy for a break from the sadness. Each of these gifts made my day a little brighter, and the pain ebbed away a little bit. Each of these gifts made my day a little brighter, and the pain ebbed away a little bit more with each new package. Suddenly I was writing again. Suddenly I had the energy to reach out to my old contacts and try to work again. I was running in the evenings. I was doing laundry and dishes. And I felt like I might be getting better. The gifts were nice. But it was the other things that started to make me wonder if the gifts were all that was being given. I mean, sometimes I would wake up to find that the clothes were folded or the dishes were done, and I couldn't remember doing them. Other times it'd be simpler things easily explained but no less odd. A blanket thrown across me where there hadn't been one before. A pillow under my head when I'd slept on the couch and left it on the bed. Sometimes, as I came awake a little in the night, it seemed like I could see shadows moving in my house. I would sit up sometimes, the living room bathed in the light of whatever TV show I'd fallen asleep watching. I'd look around for the source of the movement, finding nothing. It was weird, but I figured it was probably just my imagination. I'd been through a lot lately. Some mild hallucinations might be expected. It was on one of my jogs when I finally discovered the identity of my secret admirer. One moment. Is it here? There it is. See if I can put that in there. I was coming up the hallway, huffing a little from a longer walk than usual today, when I saw someone leaving something outside my door. I had to grab the wall for a minute when I first saw her because I thought it might be my wife. She was short, a little chubby, with brown hair cut short. She was dressed normally, jeans, t-shirt. The high tops were also something my wife had favored. From the back, she looked exactly like my dead wife, except for the hair. My wife had always talked about getting the cut. My wife had always talked about getting it cut short, but she favored ponytails and braids too much to cut it too short. She was bent at the waist, leaving food or something for me, and when I called her name, she jumped. When she turned around, though, I could see I'd been mistaken. The woman was similar to my wife, but her face was different. They could have been sisters, but there was definitely subtle differences. Her nose was rounder, her face less angular. She seemed less substantial. I began to wonder if she might be a cousin or something, but I couldn't tell of anyone in Susan's family who looked much like her. But I couldn't think of anyone in Susan's family who looked. But I couldn't think of anyone in Susan's family who looked much like her. Oh my gosh, she said, looking embarrassed. I guess you caught me. Sorry for being so mysterious. I just didn't want to mess up your morning. I was a friend of your wife's. My name's Anne. She offered me her hand to shake, and I likely looked just as unsure of myself as I took it. I told her to knock next time, to come in, share a meal with me. She agreed. And that began our strange friendship. Anne was just the companion I needed, and we spent 2 to 3 nights a week in my living room. Some of you will lift your eyebrows at that, but it was never anything more than talk, and cried as often as I did, the two of us reminiscing over Susan and what she had meant to us. And Anne, as it turns out, had known Susan far longer than I had. Two had been friends since they were children, and told me about Susan's early life in a way that made them sound like sisters. The more she told me, the more I wondered why I had never heard of her before. If Susan had known Anne since they were children, why was this the first time we were meeting? Many of her stories were things I had heard before, so they tracked, but any misgivings soon melted away as we spent our evenings remembering. Sometimes she held me while I cried. Sometimes I held her. But it was nice to have someone there in my grief. She had just gotten done with a particularly funny story about how Susan had cut her hair too. She had just gotten done with a particularly funny story about how Susan had cut her hair too short and given herself something like a mullet before shaving it down to a sloppy pixie cut, when she suddenly began to cry. Her despair was deep. The sobs racking her, and when I moved to hold her, she pressed her face against my chest. I'm sorry, she said through blubbers. I just miss her so much. I held her that night as she wept. And I think that was when I started to fall in love with her. It made me feel terrible, but I couldn't help it. She was so much like Susan. Even her voice. She was so much like Susan. Even her voice reminded me a little of my dead wife. I didn't want to move on. I was still trying to process what to do next, but Anne helped a lot. And I got the feeling she didn't mind being that person for me. Suddenly she was coming over every night, bringing food or wine. We spent our evenings together. didn't seem to bother her that I never wanted to leave the house. It didn't make any difference to her that I didn't cook. But the longer she was in my life, the more that changed. Suddenly, I was paying more attention to my clothes. I was taking on columns for online magazines, selling my short stories again. I was cooking dinners instead of eating takeout. I felt as if I was getting better. Anne was a big supporter of this too, pushing me to get better, and that was when I started to notice that something was a little odd about her. Something I should have noticed before then. Anne only came by after dark, was unavailable during the day. Anne had a very demanding job, but would change the subject anytime I brought it up. Anne would always leave before dawn, if not well before. Anne wouldn't stay at the house, wanting her own space, which I could respect. These things on their own didn't seem so strange, but altogether they made me curious. I had also started wondering why Susan had never talked about Anne before. It was something that had always been at the back of my mind, but now it began to linger like a fishbone in my throat. If they were so close, why had I never met her? If they had been friends since childhood, why hadn't she been at our wedding? Parties, trips, gatherings of people we had drawn around us, and Anne had never been at any of them. I asked Anne about that one night, but she waved it off, telling me I must have seen her at those things. I've been to every gathering you guys have thrown. I was at your wedding. I was at the funeral. I've been with you guys all the way. It made me think I was going crazy, but I couldn't remember seeing her before that night 2 months ago. I thought about going through old pictures, but neither of us had ever been picture-taking people. We kept our memories inside, not on our phones, though it made it a little difficult to check now. I was hesitant to bring any of this up in front of her as well, because I didn't want her to feel like I was accusing her of anything. Anne had become very important to me. I didn't want to go back to sitting in my depression on the couch every night. That is until I saw something I shouldn't have. We'd been watching a movie on the couch, something Susan and I had seen 1,000 times, and I dozed off towards the end. Laid my head over on Anne, and if it bothered her, she gave no indication. I don't know how long we sat like that, the two of us together on the couch, but when she got up to leave, I came half awake as I mumbled something about seeing her later. She didn't respond, which I thought meant she hadn't heard me, but as I opened my eyes a little, I saw something that froze me in my couch divot. A black shadow was standing in the doorway, its back to me as it prepared to step out into the dim hallway. The creature looked like tar, its form more of a feminine insinuation than a fact. It must have had its back to me, but when I inhaled harshly and fell off the couch, it turned back to see what had happened. I was on the floor, breathing harshly and trying to find enough breath to scream, when the shadow creature bent down in front of me and spoke in Anne's voice. It's okay. This wasn't how I wanted you to find out, but I suppose it was inevitable. I couldn't find my breath. I just looked at the thing that was speaking with Anne's voice, trying to make sense of it all. What the hell's going on? In my head, I'd wondered if Anne was some kind of stalker or a weirdo who was only pretending to know my wife. But this was a little A little bit beyond anything I had ever thought of. What? What? She glanced at the sliding door to our apartment, noticing the sun beginning to peek up and sucking in air. I don't have time now, but please listen. You have to trust that I would never hurt you, and I will explain what's going on. Some of the answers might not make a lot of sense, but I promise I will tell you what's going on. Just wait until tonight, till I get off, and I'll tell you everything I can. Can you do that? I nodded, and she returned it slowly. She got up, she walked towards the door, but turned back just before passing through it. I'm still Anne. I'm still the person you've known for the past few months. Just keep that in mind. And there... Then she walked through. Then she walked through the door and left me sitting on the floor of my living room. I was a mess all that day. I didn't understand anything. All I knew was that someone I'd grown pretty close to had turned into a featureless monster right before my eyes. I kept trying to convince myself throughout the day that it had all been a dream. I was still dreaming, but the longer the day went on, the more I had to come to terms with the fact that it wasn't. That meant that whatever it had been, it was coming back here tonight, and I would have to make a choice when it got here. Did I let it in, or did I tell it to go away and lose Anne forever? When the knock finally came, night having crept up on me as I worried the day away, I looked out the peephole to see the same old Anne standing on my doorstep. As I opened the door, she breathed a sigh of relief and asked if she could come in. I let her in, figuring that if the creature had wanted to hurt me, it would have done it before now. Okay, she said, not sitting as she paced the living room. I know you've probably got a ton of questions, but just let me tell you my side before you jump to conclusions. She took a deep breath, steadying herself as she tried to find a place to begin. I didn't lie. I've been with your wife for a very long time. In fact, I've been with her since birth. Susan and I have gone everywhere together, right up until the day that they buried her. She paused, clearly not sure how to say it. I'm Susan's shadow. I squinted at her, not really sure what to make of that. When your wife died, I was reassigned to someone else, someone new, someone very, very new. But I still remembered you, and I wondered how you were and what you were doing, and I hoped that you were doing okay. And as this little person napped and sat, I knew I had to go make sure that you were okay. I had to stay with my new person during the day when the shadows are the most noticeable, but at night, I was free to roam a bit more, and babies don't move as much as you might think, and with a 7 o'clock bedtime, I was left with a lot of time to kill. I leave at 5 when the sun's coming up, and I come back at night so that I could see you. She stopped, looking at me in an expectant way, but my mind was altogether unprepared. So you're Susan's shadow? How? She shrugged. Shadows are a part of people, but once they're dead, we aren't really needed. I've been with Susan since the start, since the first time she met you, and I fell in love with you right alongside her. I had to know that you were safe, to know that you hadn't given up, so I started to come back to our old house, and I found you suffering, so I left you little gifts to keep your spirits up. Little things to make you realize that you were still loved, but I got careless. I let myself get seen. I guess that worked out in the end. Turned out I was hurting too. I missed Susan. I missed her more than I had any of the people I'd been attached to before, and talking with you, it It helped me get over her just as much as it helped you. We helped each other in the end, and that was what we both needed. We became what the other needed, and I'm thankful that you happened along and found me that day. I had questions. All kinds of questions. But the one that stuck seemed the most obvious. If you have someone new that you're attached to, does that mean that eventually you'll have to go? She nodded, slowly, looking like she hoped I wouldn't think of that right away. Eventually, as the person I've been assigned to grows, she'll need me more than just during the day. I may have to stay with her more and more often at night, and that will ultimately mean less time with you. I want to be here for you, but I don't want to stop you from moving on either. You need to get past her to get past me, and eventually return to life as you knew it. You deserve that. You deserve to be happy. I felt the tears leaking down my face, smearing her and turning her into a wavy half person. Will you stay with me for as long as you will you stay with me for as long as you can? I asked. She nodded, smiling. I will. I'd really like that. That was 6 months ago. The little girl has become the shadow of Anne. The little girl she has. Okay. The little girl she's become the shadow of, Anne, is starting to move around more, and Anne's happy with her progress. She doesn't think that it'll be much longer before she's walking, but she promises she'll still come and see me for a while to come. One day she may decide that the nights are for going out or working, but for now, she's still tossing around in her crib before the sun goes down. That's just fine with me. I don't know how long I'll have my Anne for, but I know it would never be long enough. Even as I write this, I know there'll come a time when her visits become less and less, and I know that'll be fine too. I had Susan for 18 wonderful years. I'll take whatever time I have with her shadow as a gift. That was really fucking heartfelt, dude. It's really heartfelt. I like that. I liked that one a lot. Now, Dale, I know you want me to record the next City of Midnight on this stream, but it's not going to happen. The next City of Midnight is not going to be recorded on the stream, and because it's already done. It's already scheduled. So that was all just a ploy to get you to stay here. I would have been so fucked up. Hmm. Did you tear up? Did that tear at my heartstrings? It did. Kittens. Yes, I'm gonna run the kitten trailer one more time in between stories before we get started on the next one from JR or JL. Uh, Here we go. Oh wait, actually, before I do, ads. You had a question about how the bones thing works. So Billy, the skeleton, is technically from the 24-hour live stream, but whenever I go live, he immediately joins me. It's just how he is. If you guys have questions about the bones, definitely go over to the the nonstop 24-hour live stream after this. And in the description there, it explains everything about bones, everything about Billy. Billy's basically just a chat bot. He plays games with a chat. Bones you acquire by chatting and by hanging out inside of streams. You get more bones. There's some people in there that have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of bones just from hanging out and doing stuff. So are you a lover of all things cute and cuddly? Do you believe in making a difference in the lives of those who need it most? Kitten Rescue NW, a local kitten rescue based in San Antonio, Texas, run by a group of dedicated individuals who have poured their hearts and retirement savings into saving these precious little lives. But they can't do it alone. With overfilled fosters and a growing number of cats and kittens in need, they're reaching out for your help. From April 21st to May 4th, join us in our mission to raise funds for the Kitten Rescue. Your donation will go directly to supporting the construction of their new facility, providing a safe haven for these furry friends. Every dollar counts. Help support the rescue through ko-fi.com/kittenrescuenw, or you can always go directly to kittenrescuenw.org. Together, we can make a difference. And if you're looking to expand your family, Kitten Rescue Northwest offers adoptions to any city in the U.S. with Southwest Airlines access. These little fur balls are ready to find their forever homes. So join the cause, stream, donate, adopt, and spread the word along with the night shift. Together, let's get these kittens the love and care they deserve. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. I've never managed to catch my streams before. Do you do them often? I will do streams on Twitch often. Those are like video games and things like that. The streams on YouTube I don't do as often. There's a 24-hour live stream that's just running stories nonstop for like anybody who would be interested in watching those. Or a lot of people listen to them whenever they go to sleep. They just keep the stories running 24 hours. That's can go to for those. You guys very much invite you to go over to Twitch to watch stuff over there. The only reason we're doing these, normally I'll do streams on on YouTube for October, or I'll do them for events like the charity event we're just pushing right now, which is the Kitten Rescue of Northwest San Antonio. So if you guys would like to be able to donate anything, you can donate them right there. For the I'll just put the link inside of the chat. You can also see the link right underneath the title here. If you guys donate during stream, also it'll show up there on that little list. You guys show up on stream, your name and whatever like comments you put down for the donations show up there, which is really nice. BRB getting coffee. Let me get the story. There it is. Oh god. Let's go with this. For those of you guys also who are curious about how that little fishing video comes up in the chat, that's something that you guys can redeem on Twitch. That's people on Twitch who are currently using fishing, which you can get. There's bones also on the Twitch. The bones you get by just watching the streams. And they're messing around with those right now to go fishing. Fishing really doesn't do anything. It's just to give you guys something fun to do during stream. And if you'd like to go fishing, you guys are more than welcome to hop over to Twitch from YouTube. Nice to see a face behind the stories. Don't worry. Okay, I try to keep the ambience up as much as possible. That's why everything is dark. But yes, sometimes you'll see me. You'll see me in sudden flashes and like. If you guys ever see me do conventions, if you see me at conventions, sometimes I'll wear my mask, sometimes I won't. So that's just how it bees. If you hang out in Nonstop, it's a pretty good place to meet more fans. That's true. Everybody in like Nonstop Horror Radio likes horror audio, so that's a great place to go. You guys can also go over to like Chilling, the Chilling app, which is free now. Actually, the Chilling app's free. I don't do as much narrations on there as I used to, but I'm still on there. Um, and there is like communities of people who just like listening to horror audios, or even like there's like I think some horror shorts, horror movies, and like that are on Chilling. So that's another good place to go. Jenna asking if I read the stories beforehand or if I read them in real time. For the most part, I read them in real time. Um, I'd say that I say for the most part, I read them in real time. I will usually go through, measure the size, read a couple of lines in them, so it's not like something like what's the wording outside of my norm for recording. Like I don't know if you guys realized I don't really do a lot of stuff like with like sexual violence or stories like that. I feel like those are just very uncomfortable. I don't like playing characters like that. So I generally try to avoid those kinds of stories. I try to avoid stories that have things like that. Chill horror, yeah, chill horror stream. Never knew that existed. Yes, please check out Chilling app. Chilling app. It's for iPhones, Androids. You guys can be able to get stories and stuff on there. They don't pay me anymore. I just think it's actually something good for you guys to check out. It's actually good. I have Chilling, and Autumn is one of my favorites. Autumn is wonderful. You guys have seen Autumn Ivy on the channel. She was the voice of Accounts from a Lonely Broadcast Station. She's the voice of Evelyn, along with me as Daniel. She's an incredible voice actor. I'll do a quick shout for her also. You guys are playing Sucker for Love. Sucker for Love 2 came out today. And she is the voice of Billy in Sucker for Love 2. So if you guys enjoy that one, she's in there. There was a game that came out a couple years ago that's incredible. I think like everybody loves playing it. The Mortuary's Assistant. The Mortuary's Assistant is a game that Autumn is also a voice in. She's the voice of the woman in the basement. Although I think she's also the grandmother, so she does a really like range incredible. So she's fantastic in that. I have another story that I'm going to be recording in just a bit here. I'm going to do one more paste of this inside of the chat on YouTube. You guys on Twitch get this every couple of minutes, so I'm not going to do that for you, but I'm going to put in one more paste of this link just so that you guys have it and you're forced to keep seeing it. Like I said, if I can get a couple of donations to it during the stream, then the last story I'll do for the stream will be the next one for Jeff the Killer 2015. So we'll see. We'll see. Tell you more about the San Diego gig. I will tell you more about the San Diego gig. San Diego gig is at the end of this month. Let me get a hold of James real quick, and he has all my information. So the San Diego gig is going to be at the San Diego Public Library. It's called Spirited Givings. The date for it is May 29th. I'll be there at May 29th. You can go over to spirited-givings.com if you want to be able to get more of that. We're raising funds for the San Diego Library Foundation and the Books Unbanned Initiative. So it's just promoting public libraries. And it's promoting basically your ability to read books, dude. Like, banned books, insanity. Why would you ban a book? Anybody could be able to get a copy of anything they want to be able to read. The freedom of knowledge and freedom of information is what makes us intelligent. Hiding information from yourselves literally does nothing. The initiative aims to support the rights of teens and young adults to read what they like, discover themselves, and form their own opinions without being restricted by censorship or political pressures. So many of the books that are banned or challenged are by Black, Indigenous people of color, or LGBTQ plus people exploring their experiences, stories, histories, and movements. Reading these books can help teens and adults understand themselves and connect to others, as well as develop critical thinking and intellectual freedom, which is really what we want for everybody. it's not just me who's going to be there. I'll be there with Vincent Vinacava, as well as a bunch of other people that show up or a lot of other people who are associated with StokerCon, which is a big like horror writers convention. Technically, this is part of an official StokerCon pre-party. So, I'd love for you guys to be able to see me there if you guys want to go there. If you guys purchase tickets to go, come to see us, listen to me read. Keep in mind that goes towards the San Diego Public Library. This is a fundraiser. It's for it's for a good cause. It's wonderful. Zeke, more tales from the gas station, please. I would love to give you more tales from the gas station, but that's not something I can do. That has to come from Jack Townsend. Jack Townsend has been writing tales for years, and I think he's taking a quick break from it. So when he comes back, we'll get more tales from the gas station. I will say, we just got more Habitsville, and Habitsville, Habitsville is such a good series. We just got more of Habitsville, and I thought that author Samuel Singer was gone, but no, they're back. They're back, baby, and they wrote more Habitsville, and this new Habitsville I think is probably the best one they've ever written. So it's it's good. Don't you sleep on it. It's like I think the complete comes out in 15 minutes. So don't sleep on Habitsville. Not going to be in my neck of the woods. No guarantees I'll try to get there. Jenna, I'd love to see you there. Ban books was to get people to read out of spite, in my opinion. Night Silent, you might be right. Maybe it was that gets you to read out of spite. It certainly it gives you a list of books to look at now. Like things I don't want people to know. Boo, let's go. Has the 5th come out yet? Night Silence, there is no talk of Volume 5 yet. If there is, well, no talk that anybody's been telling me. Look, you want to go, you want to talk to somebody, ask Jack, okay? You ask Jack Townsend if Volume 5 comes out. You go to gasstationjack.com and you just do it. So I'm sad I'm thousands of miles away. Yeah, that happens. Sorry, ads. Hate censorship. It'd be up to me to read or watch whatever I want. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Simba. This is why we have rating systems, right? The rating systems are to tell you about what you're about to read or the media that you're about to consume. And then you can make your own decisions. Look, I'm getting sidetracked. You guys keep talking to me, I'll keep talking to you, okay? Look. Lala, hello. Welcome to stream. Half a pig lives rent-free in my head. God, Tesla gas station is wonderful, and it has so many things that are just so good. Ask Jack for the comics restocks, please. Dad Noodles. I'll look, I'm sending him a message right now, okay? I am sending him a message on Facebook. Jack. Oh, God, if I could spell the word Jack. There you go. Jack, people on stream are asking for a comic book restock. Bingo. There you go. He has been notified. Uncle Henry. Oh, Uncle Henry's so good. Okay. Chatting with you. We continue distracting you. Yes. This is why there's literally a button. There's a button on Twitch that tells me to focus. Focus on work. Yes. Thank you. I will continue to work. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking. What about a Cats from Lane broadcast station? They're getting its Element. There is. Tales from the Lonely broadcast station has a season 3. It's on YouTube. You could go to Autumn's channel, it has it there, or you could just see the complete series, seasons 1, 2, and 3 put together on my channel. I love chatting. Oh my god. Okay. You catch that parrotfish. Let me get this story ready. Oh god, you're gonna make me talk again. Go. A Gouda goat. I love the Mayfair Watcher Society. I love the Mayfair Watcher Society. If you guys haven't seen it, the Mayfair Watcher Society is a podcast on Spotify, I suppose. Wherever you get podcasts from. I get mine from Spotify. I've been listening to it. A friend of mine, Atticus, is a voice on the Mayfair Watcher Society. But oh my god, it's such a good. It's so good. Everything they do on there is really good. I should say like everything. There's been a couple episodes I think they would like missed with me, but there was like most of them have just been like so good hits. I especially loved that one. It was like the class of '86 or something like that. Like it was just an episode about like this doctor that's like making a teleportation machine, but when he gets it to work and he tries it on his son, like it makes his son like teleports him correctly, like he's alive. There's nothing wrong with him. Yes, no sleep. Atticus Jackson. He's really cool. Atticus is really cool. Um, but he like his brain chemistry is wrong, so it makes him like evil. It's really good. See you for a beer or eight, Dale. I can't drink. Ever since I've been diagnosed with that kidney thing last year, I cannot have alcohol. I can't have alcohol. I can't smoke. I can't do any kind of vice thing. I need to be clean. Otherwise, I could progress my kidney disease. Kidney disease will eventually lead to me having a kidney replacement, which I'm very much not looking forward to. But if I do things like drink and like it could speed that along, which again, like to avoid as much as possible. I want more accounts from a lonely broadcast station, Simba. If you want more accounts, check out the book. The full book for Accounts from a Lonely Broadcast Station, the first volume for it is out now. It's on Amazon. You can get your hands on it. The audiobook, the, what you call it? Not the audiobook. The audiobook for it will be out soon enough. Atticus Jackson is on the No Sleep podcast as well. The No Sleep podcast is also wonderful. If you guys haven't, I'm assuming if you've been here, you've seen the No Sleep podcast. But yes, make fair episode where he gives people to the apartment monster. Oh yeah, oh yeah. How does smoking MJ complicate that? I don't want to get too much into like super uses of stuff, but uh so the if you guys have been around last year, you saw like the community posts, blah blah blah. I was in the hospital earlier in the year for a week because they found out that my blood pressure had been way too high for way too long. This is why I stopped doing conventions. I need to cut stress out of my life in a lot of ways because it affected my blood pressure. Because my blood pressure was so high for God knows how long. For context, my blood pressure was like 220 over 150 or something like that. It enlarged my heart, and it ruined my kidneys. Like my kidneys function now better than they were, so they're like at 30% now. For a good while, my kidneys were functioning at 18%, which is like about 3% above dialysis. So, because it affects it enlarged my heart. Managing my blood pressure was a really big thing to try to get my heart to shrink back down in size. It needs to like atrophy the muscles around it. But anything that affects my heart rate can be a problem. Right now, like the most viceful thing I can have is like coffee. That's like I can have coffee because that what does technically affect your heart rate. But yes, that's as much as I can get. So other things like using other things affects my heart, and it's not good. You ruined me for other narrators. Audiobooks not the same. You're not narrating ads. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Live streaming on Twitch too. Bam, Brenda. Yes, I am. You get a little bit more stuff if you're on Twitch because then you can affect the stream. There's a couple buttons and stuff you can press, such as people who've been going fishing. If you notice that on the stream. Do you need to have low cardio exercise, water walking and all? I do have to do regular cardio and stuff like that. Keeping my weight and cardio exercises in check are ways to manage my blood pressure. So yes, I have that. I take a cocktail of pills every morning and every night. Just chilling, parallel snuggling with the cat while it's on. Yo, good, yeah. Um, understand the mechanism. Oh yeah, of the stories. Thank you, Simba. Let me go ahead and run this one more time. This is the price you all pay. You guys have to watch the kitten ad again. You guys have to look at kittens. Uh, I'll drink then. You can listen to my drunken ramblings. I want to go ahead and run the kitten trailer one more time, and then we're gonna actually record this story. J.L. Goodwin is amazing, an incredible author, an incredibly kind guy, and I really want to get this one started. So. Are you a lover of all things cute and cuddly? Do you believe in making a difference in the lives of those who need it most? Kitten Rescue NW, a local kitten rescue based in San Antonio, Texas, run by a group of dedicated individuals who have poured their hearts and retirement savings into saving these precious little lives. But they can't do it alone. With overfilled fosters and a growing number of cats and kittens in need, they're reaching out for your help. From April 21st to May 4th, join us in our mission to raise funds for the Kitten Rescue. Your donation will go directly to supporting the construction of their new facility, providing a safe haven for these furry friends. Every dollar counts. Help support the rescue through ko-fi.com/kittenrescuenw, or you can always go directly to kittenrescuenw.org. Together, we can make a difference. And if you're looking to expand your family, Kitten Rescue Northwest offers adoptions to any city in the U.S. with Southwest Airlines access. These little fur balls are ready to find their forever homes. So join the cause, stream, donate, adopt, and spread the word along with the night shift. Together, let's get these kittens the love and care they deserve. Okay, that's what you guys get. You gotta see it again. I'm gonna post the link in here again too. And like I said, if you guys want to donate to the kitten charity, then I'll do I'll do Jeff the Killer 2015. I'll do the next part. I'll record it right here. Pay to the office. I'll check too. Don't you think I won't? Let's go on to the next story. If anyone ends up reading this, then it means I was actually successfully. If anyone ends up reading this, then it means I was successfully able to post it without it being taken down. Every other website and forum I've tried writing on has resulted in the same error notification being displayed, whether it's on a laptop or a smartphone. I can only assume it's something that the people in charge of whatever this has done in order to prevent anyone left from getting word out about what's happening here. Some kind of jamming device or scrambler. But for whatever reason, this site still remains accessible. And so I'm posting this here in a place that I don't think they'll ever check because someone needs to know the truth. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about the test of the emergency broadcast system that happened earlier today. I mean, it was all over the internet, on the news yesterday. According to the smiling anchorman on our local channel, it would happen around 12:20 in the afternoon and last for about half an hour, broadcasting on television, radio, and to every cell phone turned on at the time. The town I live in, whose name I don't dare write in case anyone monitoring the internet is using a trolling program, searching for specific names or phrases, only has a population of about 1,500 people. Because it's such a small and tight-knit community, conversations about the announcement began spreading like wildfire. Didn't they already do that test of the system less than 3 years ago? Oh, that's Mrs. Kravitz. Didn't they already do a test of the system less than 3 years ago? Old Mrs. Kravitz asked the cashier at the grocery store, while I stood in line behind her with frozen pizza in my hands. I think I read something about how they're required to perform the test every 3 or 4 years, Lorna, she replied, as she patiently waited for the elderly woman to... I think this is probably a younger woman. That doesn't matter. Okay. She replied as she patiently waited for the elderly woman to finish writing out a check for her purchases. Matt, this is a note for you. When you're editing this one, can you put... At the very beginning, I want to fade in and then fade out the sound of like the emergency test system just to really send home what that sound is. Also, it's unsettling. Later that night, after my parents had gone to bed, as I gorged myself on the remaining slices of pizza and watched reruns of I Love Lucy, I got a text from my friend Aubrey. If I have to hear about that stupid test one more time, I think I'll scream, it said. I let out a small chuckle and typed back, yeah, you'd think with all the commotion over town, we'd all end up in a 21st century version of the Cuban Missile Crisis or something. After a few minutes, my phone vibrated in reply. LOL, no joke. I was going to ask if you wanted to do some skateboarding tomorrow. You probably don't have much time left until the snow begins to fall. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I muttered quietly to myself, then typed out a response. I am absolutely down for that. I'll meet you in the parking lot of the diner at around 11:45. I hit send, then a thought occurred to me. I sent a quick text message before she could respond. I'm going to turn my phone off tonight and leave it at home. I don't want to have to deal with that annoying tone going off. I took a sip of Coke, till my eyes began to droop. Sleep was calling my name. My phone buzzed. Good idea. I'll do the same. Gonna hit the sack. Catch you later. After bidding her good night as well, I held down the power button on the phone. The Samsung logo briefly showed before going back to black. I reached for the remote and shut the TV off, dumping my dishes into the sink before heading upstairs. Tossing the powered-down phone onto my desk, I set my alarm clock for 10 before climbing into bed and quickly falling into a deep and dreamless sleep. In retrospect, turning off our phones and leaving them at home is probably what ended up saving our lives. At least, sparing us that horrible initial fate. At least, sparing us that horrible initial fate, anyway. In the morning, I quickly told my parents where I was heading, and after promising them that I'd be safe, I grabbed my skateboard, house keys, and jacket and headed out the front door. The chilly fall air smacked me in the face as I let gravity pull me down the residual streets towards downtown. Behind me, the Rocky Mountains rose imposingly up into the sky, seeming like the turrets of a castle fortress. There's been a rumor going for close to 40-plus years that horror writer Dean Koontz once visited here in the late 70s. It ended up basing the fictional town of Snowfield on it for his novel Phantoms. I think it's a load of bullshit, though. I can't deny that our town looks very similar to what the book described. So, who knew? Looking left and right to watch out for any cars or trucks, I entered the town proper and made a beeline for the diner. Aubrey was leaning against the steps which led to the front door. You're 5 minutes late, you know, she said jokingly, checking the watch on her wrist. If I'd waited any longer, I would have had to organize a search party. I rolled my eyes at the lame joke and chuckled. Bite me, I retorted good-naturedly, causing her to let out a laugh. No thanks. I don't think I'd like the taste of you. This time, a full-blown laugh burst out of me, which set her off more. After a few more seconds, we got control of ourselves again and straightened up. So, where do you want to go skate? She asked me. I thought for a second, looking around. The diner was packed with patrons having either lunch or a late breakfast, and the parking lot full of cars and trucks. Too risky to shred here. An idea came to me, and I snapped my fingers. The old Blockbuster. It's got plenty of railings to grind, and we can kickflip over the parking lot bumps. Plus, since it's in the back of town, Sheriff Wake likely won't find us and force us to move. Aubrey rolled her eyes at the mention of the sheriff. The man had a major stick up his ass and seemingly hated anyone skateboarding, or as he called it, creating a nuisance. Aubrey shrugged. Sure, why not? Our plan set, we tucked our boards under our arms and walked through town towards the abandoned building, which once housed the only video rental store in town. It took less than 5 minutes to reach it. The sign still stood at the entrance, the yellow letters long since having faded in the sun. I checked my own watch as Aubrey dropped her board to the ground and pushed off. 12:05. The test was supposed to start in about 15 minutes. I shook my head again, glad that we'd decided to ditch our phones for the day. For a brief moment, I remembered I'd forgotten to tell my folks I'd done so, and a small swath of guilt washed over me at the possibility they might end up worried if they tried to get a hold of me. But I pushed it out of my mind. I'd apologize when I got home. I dropped my own board to the ground and pushed off. For the next 10 to 12 minutes, the two of us whooped and laughed as we jumped and grinded our way across the parking lot. All the stress of having graduated and needing to pick a college to go to fell away from my mind, and I felt what I can only describe as peace. The peace was shattered by the sounds of tires screeching and steel and glass smashing against each other, reverberating off the buildings and seemingly off the mountains above us themselves. I'd been in the middle of grinding the entrance rail when it came, and it startled me so badly I lost my balance. The board shooting out from under my feet as my hips smashed into the railing, and I fell back to earth. I lay there for a moment, searing pain shooting through me before I felt a hand on my shoulder. Damn, that was a nasty fall, Aubrey exclaimed. You all right? After deciding I hadn't broken any bones, I answered, yeah, I think so. Things like a bitch, though. I looked up at her. What the hell was that sound? I asked. She shook her head, a similar confused expression on her face. I don't know. Sounded like it came from back towards the main road. She looked around, then back at me. I think it was a car crash. Yeah, my thoughts exactly, I muttered, pulling myself into a sitting position. Helping me to my feet, she motioned towards where the sound had come from. You want to go see? She asked. After a moment's hesitation, I nodded. Tucking our boards back under our arms, we both hurried towards the road. Rounding the corner, we both immediately spied the devastation a few hundred feet ahead of us. Holy shit, Aubrey breathed out. The intersection of Chestnut and Main Street looked like the aftermath of a destruction derby. Two cars had collided almost head-on with each other, what looked like a late 80s or early 90s Buick LeSabre. What looked like a late 80s or early 90s Buick Sabre and a brand new Cadillac Escalade. With a sense of numbness surging through me, I realized I had recognized both vehicles. The Cadillac belonged to Mr. Schultz, a rather wealthy but friendly man who rented out most of the houses he owned in town to the ski tourists that came to town every winter. The Buick belonged to Mrs. Kravitz, the old woman who I'd stood behind in the store yesterday. Smoke billowed out from both wrecks, and shattered glass and twists of metal littered the street around them for hundreds of feet. Oh my God, I said softly, echoing my friend's statement. We both exchanged a glance with each other and then began running towards the accident. As we ran, a small part of the back of my mind noticed something which was small but poignant. I didn't see anyone else running out of the buildings. Everyone in town had to have heard. Where are they? The train of thought was ripped away from me as we both skidded to a stop at the sight of the driver's doors of the Cadillac being kicked open. An ear-piercing sound burst out of the SUV's interior, and I dropped my board and clapped my hands over my ears. From the corner of my eye, I saw Aubrey do the same, squeezing her eyes shut in pain and stumbling back to the side of the brick. squeezing her eyes shut in pain and stumbling back into the side of the brick building next to us. Even through my hands, I could still hear the sound, though it was now slightly muffled. For a second, I couldn't place it. Then it hit me. It was the loud honking siren of the honking. It was the loud honking siren of the emergency alert system, but it sounded wrong. It was as if the tones had been warped and distorted into something else. And by the sound of it, Mr. Schultz had been listening to his car radio at full volume when they'd gone off. Speaking of which, a figure stumbled out from the SUV, grabbing onto the open door for support. Holy hell in a handbasket. Mr. Schultz survived that, I thought. I swung my gaze over to the Buick, squinting through the spiderweb of cracks that had become the windshield. I saw a small hint of movement. I saw Miss Kravitz lean back into her seat. She must have gashed her head open pretty badly because her forehead was covered in blood. Keeping my hand over my ears to dull the still shrieking tone, I turned and got as close to Aubrey as I could so that she could hear me through her hands and over the noise. "Gotta try to help them," I shouted as loud as I could. I could tell she understood me as she nodded after a second. And then she looked back towards the wreck. A look flashed across her face. A look I can still remember perfectly. First confusion, and then a clear expression of renewed horror. I felt a shiver shoot up my spine and spun back around to look at what she'd seen. I truly wish I hadn't. Mr. Schultz was no longer next to his car. Instead, he'd ran around to the driver's side of the Buick. For a split second, I thought that it was to help her until the screaming began. I didn't realize that an elderly woman could scream so high and shrill. The busted windshield prevented me from seeing exactly what Mr. Schultz was doing to Mrs. Kravitz, but it didn't prevent me from seeing the sudden fountain of blood which spurted out and coated the inside of the glass like paint. The sight shocked me so much that I took my hands away from my ears to clamp them over my mouth to keep from screaming. It was then that I noticed that the tone had stopped screeching and silence had again settled over the town, but only for a few seconds. The sounds that sprang up seemingly all over town, they were almost somehow worse than the tone. They were the sounds of screaming. Yells and shrieks came from every conceivable direction. What I could only assume was what the depths of hell itself sounded like. It was as if everyone in town were being brutally murdered at the same time. Almost as if it were a trigger, Mr. Schultz snapped his head up from where he'd been leaning into the car, and I saw his eyes gone completely red. It was as if all the capillaries in his eyes had burst. He reached back into the car and pulled something out with a sickening churn of my stomach. I saw it was a sharp shard of broken glass, one edge dripping still fresh blood from it. Without even looking in our direction, he took off back towards the heart of downtown in a sprint, almost in the manner of a child rushing to join the frolic and fun of his friends at an amusement park. For a few moments, neither of us said anything, simply standing there in dumbstruck horror like deer in the headlights. Finally, Aubrey spoke up, her voice shaky. What the absolute fuck just happened? She managed out. I could only shake my head, the cries of terror and what almost sounded like rage still coming from around the corner. She spoke again. He killed her. Mrs. Kravitz, he butchered her like a cow in a slaughterhouse. Eddie, what the fuck? Her voice rose into a scream as she finished. I turned and clamped a hand over her mouth, afraid that her shriek would bring Mr. Schultz back to us. I put a finger to my lips, and after a few seconds, she nodded. Pulling my hand away, she spoke softer. Eddie, what the hell's happening? I shook my head, finally managing to find my voice. I, I, I don't know. She looked back towards the main road. We need to get back home. Now. I nodded. Agreed, but we can't blindly run out on the main road, not with... I gestured towards the hellish sounds coming from the directions we needed to go. Whatever the hell's going on. A look of realization crossed her face. The alleyways, she exclaimed, causing me to remember the maze of alleyways that crisscrossed between the main street's buildings. All right, but first, see exactly what the hell's going on. She hesitated, but nodded, motioning to be quiet. Motioning to be quiet, I led the way to the corner of the building on one side of the intersection. Let me look around the corner quick, I whispered. Again, she nodded silently. Taking a deep breath, I peered around the corner onto the main road. Now, if I hadn't already been in shock, I don't think I would have been able to keep from screaming at the grisly sight that awaited me. It was like a scene out of a horror movie. People were dashing around from building to building, clutching all sorts of things. Crutches, kitchen knives. There was even one man wielding what looked like an old sword which had hung inside the antique shop. That wasn't a horrifying sight. I mean, there were dozens of bodies littering Main Street. It seemed like people had dashed out of everywhere. The diner, grocery, hardware store, and more. Blood pooled around their still forms. Still others, some holding their arms or stomachs to stop the bleeding, were attempting to run away from those wielding weapons. They didn't make it very far, though, as they were overwhelmed by the others. They all shouted and screamed in what sounded like a total and complete rage as they chased them down. Fuck me. Was all I could whisper out. I pulled my head back, and the look on my face must have told Aubrey all she needed to know. Her face had gone pale as a sheet. That bad? She asked. I nodded. I could see the cogs turning in her head. Okay, we stick to the plan. We use the alleys. We get through downtown and we get back to our houses. I felt a wave of gratitude pass over me. She was managing to hold her composure better than I could have hoped for. I nodded and followed her. We slipped into the gloomy shade of the alley that ran behind the buildings to the right side of the street. We made our way carefully through them, making sure not to attract any attention from the hell still erupting in the main drag. But we saw little glimpses every time we reached a T-junction. We both saw people we'd known all of our lives, inflicting violence upon each other so shocking and vile I can't bring myself to write it down. I'd lose what little sanity remains in my head if I did. We made it back to the parking lot of the diner we'd initially met up in and stopped to wait. The sound of gunshots blasting out caused us both to freeze and duck back into the alley to hide. And not a moment too soon either, because we saw the sheriff's Ford Explorer fly down the road. Sheriff Wake was leaning out the window, using one hand to steer while firing his pistol with the other. I only saw his face for a moment, but it was enough to see the same crazed look that the others had. The sound of the roaring engine faded along with the gunshots after a few seconds. We could still hear the screeching tires echoing over all the chaos. Aubrey turned to look at me, an almost hopeless look on her face. "Eddie, what the hell do we do?" she said weakly. I knelt and I thought hard and fast. We can't stay outside much longer. We stay out here, we're dead. We need to find shelter, at least for a little while. I spoke. We need to find a place to lie low for a little while, until we know that we can make it safely back to the other side of town. Her face turned to a mask of panic. What about our parents? I felt a knot tie itself in my stomach, and I thought of my mom and dad caught up in this hell without a way to get a hold of me, threatening to overwhelm me. But I kept as level a head as I could. We're not going to be able to help them if we both end up like the others, I said as calmly as possible. There's too many people all over the place to avoid all the way back. We need to find some place not many people would have been at. We need to hunker down until we think it's safe enough to keep going. She looked like she wanted to argue, but nodded after a few moments. Then looked at me. "The library," she said simply. "Not many people besides the adults go there anymore. It's rare. It's right on the other side of this building," she said, pointing at the brick apartments that made up the far side of the alley. I nodded. "Okay. Let's wait a second, and then we go." She nodded. And after not seeing anyone for a minute, we began moving from car to car in the parking lot, using them as cover to reach the street. I looked towards the diner. The inside of the windows I could see were splashed in blood, evidence of the slaughter that must have taken place inside. I also noticed with a vague air of surprise that the ground in the diner's parking lot seemed to be littered with smartphones. The screens from many were still lit up, and as I stepped over one, I glanced down to see the notice flashing up on the screen. "Test alert. This is a test of the National Wireless Emergency Alert System. No action is needed." As I read it, a sound snapped in my head. It was the sound of static from a radio coming from a few cars up. Sharing a look of panic with Aubrey and convinced the sound would draw unwanted attention our way, we hurried down the line towards the sound. It was coming from a red Wrangler, one which I recognized belonged to Mr. and Mrs. Nolt, two survivalists who lived further up the mountains but came down into town to buy supplies and sometimes eat at the diner. Scrambling to the passenger door, I yanked the handle, praying for it to be unlocked. The door mercifully opened, and with a last look around, I practically flew into the passenger seat. The crackling sound was coming from the old CB radio, mounted under the dash. I reached to shut it off. That was when the crackling static changed to the smooth sound of a man's voice. "Sir, all entrance and exits to the town have been cordoned off. Sentries placed to make sure no one enters or leaves. A satellite feed should be up in about 30 minutes. Jammers will be up in 10. Another man's voice answered him, this one deep and authoritative. "Very good, Deacons. RF Ultra Phase 1 is now to go. RF Ultra Phase 1's now go. Maintain radio silence for the next 12 hours. The first voice spoke again. "Roger that, sir. Over and out." Matt, if you can give those like a nice little like radio thing, go for it. And with that, the radio died. Not even belting out static. I shot a look out the open window at Aubrey, who gave me a similar look of shock and confusion. Was that happening intentionally? Did someone cause this? I didn't stop to wonder beyond that, though. Climbing back out of the Jeep, I softly closed the door and motioned for her to keep moving, making sure that nobody was near us. We stayed hunched over and made a mad dash for the library. That's where we've been ever since. We got inside and barricaded the front door with some benches, which were inside the foyer. Aside from, to our horror, the body of Mrs. Thatch, the librarian. It was thankfully empty. I went and I found an old drop cloth in the closet and draped it over her. I couldn't stand to see what someone had done to the back of her skull with what looked like a pipe or a wrench. The sounds of our fellow townsfolk slaughtering each other barely let up for the last few hours. But the sun began to set. But as the sun began to set, it slowly turned silent. I don't know whether that's because the carnage had stopped for now, or everyone who's gone insane is dead. I don't dare think about that, though. The idea that my parents, as well as Aubrey's, along with all of our friends, are either lying in a pool of blood somewhere or slinking through the shadows looking for us. It's a bit too much to bear. We still hear the roar of the sheriff's cruiser roaming around downtown, though. After some thought, and with the night coming fast, we decided to stay here for the night. In the morning, if it's safe, we'll take down the barricade and we'll try to make it back to the residential side of town. But in the meantime, I tried both the landline telephone and the computer connection to the internet. Neither of them's working. The only thing that did, which I'm using to type out now, is a laptop that seems to have satellite connection. So whoever these people are, they must not have thought that anyone in town has a satellite link up. Still spotty. As I said at the start, though, no social sites, no Facebook, Twitter. Neither does YouTube. Email doesn't work, but for whatever reason, Reddit seems to. So, in the darkness of the library's break room, I type this out, and I pray to God that it's successfully posted, and that somebody will see it. And if you do, please tell me what Aubrey and I should do. Anything that might help us survive. I'll check it in the morning before we head out. If you have any idea what those men on the radio were talking about whatever RF Ultra is, please tell me, because I can't understand what's happening or why. And if they haven't blocked access entirely, I'll try and make another post tomorrow. Okay, to let you know that we're still alive, but for now, I need to try and get some sleep, if that's even possible. And if I don't post, you'll know we didn't make it. You guys liked that series from Goodwin before. Okay, I'll do that one. That would be the there was a series we did about an abandoned, going into an abandoned ocean liner. That was a really good one. I really liked it. I like the ship the stories about like abandoned ships and such. But if you guys like that story, you'll probably very much like this one. There's 3 more parts for it, but we're not going into those today. I'm only giving you the starter parts for today. I'm gonna go ahead and run this ad for the kittens one last time, and then I think we're probably gonna call it on here. For those of you who are watching on Twitter, hang out, because I'm gonna be dropping you off with another friend of mine, somebody else who is currently still yeah, that's how the radios sound. That's how it sounds to me. But I'm gonna go ahead and run the ad for the kittens one more time. I'm gonna go ahead and check to see if there's any donations, and post a link for you guys. Those of you watching on Twitch, hang out. I'm gonna drop you off with another member of the night shift, and I will be live on Twitch later on today as well with Jen and with Bishojo Mom. For everybody who's watching on YouTube, thanks for hanging out and thanks for coming out to see a live stream of me recording live. Are you a lover of all things cute and cuddly? Do you believe in making a difference in the lives of those who need it most? Kitten Rescue NW, a local kitten rescue based in San Antonio, Texas, run by a group of dedicated individuals who have poured their hearts and retirement savings into saving these precious little lives. But they can't do it alone. With overfilled fosters and a growing number of cats and kittens in need, they're reaching out for your help. From April 21st to May 4th, join us in our mission to raise funds for the Kitten Rescue. Your donation will go directly to supporting the construction of their new facility, providing a safe haven for these furry friends. Every dollar counts. Help support the rescue through ko-fi.com/kittenrescuenw, or you can always go directly to kittenrescuenw.org. Together, we can make a difference. And if you're looking to expand your family, Kitten Rescue Northwest offers adoptions to any city in the U.S. with Southwest Airlines access. These little fur balls are ready to find their forever homes. So join the cause, stream, donate, adopt, and spread the word along with the night shift. Together, let's get these kittens the love and care they deserve. Oh my god, you guys actually did donate to the thing, didn't you? Ugh, okay. Okay. Let me see how long the next Jeff the Killer Fish 2015 part is. I need to go up to. I need to find banning K. Banning K. I want that Jeff story. Did you guys, you bastards? Banning K. This is the Tobbit series. Oh, this is okay. Is there not a way for me to see the next part? Which parts? What are we on? This would be is it just from? Oh, here we go. Jeff the Killer Stories. So we did that one right there. The Corruption, Jane, Lou, Shades of Madness. Shades of Madness, I think, was the one that we're technically on, right? Why? Oh, it's spin pasta. Why is it so bright? My God. All right. Let's see. Dalton. Let's find it. Let's find. Let's find the list. Okay. 2015 in order. So I did Lou, Then and Now, East Austin Holy Book. Is this the next one I'm supposed to do? Feel like it is, isn't it? So we did Lou. After Lou, it's after the East Austin Holy Book. Where the hell is this listed? Selling a story. I might have to just message banning things to come. Oh, is that what this is? Okay, yeah, Lou, are you all right? Let me see. Oh, these are subtitled. Okay, cool. So yeah, after Lou. I need to ask fucking banning. What's the order of this now? So Strange Case of Little Nina Hopkins. Yes, you did that one. Okay, so Jane, Jeff the Killer Describing Cruel, which is where on this list? Disturbingly Cruel was 4 years ago. Nina Hopkins, 3 years ago. Lou was an hour long, Then and Now, and then East Austin Holy Book. So when I'm looking at Lou, up to the top. Okay, Lou, Here and Now. Okay, so I did Lou, Then and Now was the last thing, and then the East Austin Holy Book. So Here and Now, and the last thing on here was Then and There. After that was, oh my God, I forgot how long these are. I'm gonna die. Things to come. Where the fuck is the East Austin Holy Book coming to this? I'm just gonna message him. I'm gonna message him. Forest of Burning Blind, first victim, Sawyer Hideaway. Banning K. Where's banning? Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay. I don't have it here specifically. Now that you guys have done that, I will get that one. I will record it live. It will be here. You guys hang out. Take me back to those days. Spooky bike, I'd love to. But unfortunately, I can't make that organically. That will end up becoming something I will try my best, but unfortunately, I don't think I can organically bring back a time of low quality microphones and low quality videos and thumbnails. Uh, I have to grow with the times. Thus is my punishment. Thus is my hubris. But here we go. Give me my story, Simba. I'm going through. So I'm going through. Fuck. I'm going through Kay, who is the author of the Jeff the Killer 2015. I'll record it live. I can't record it live right now because it's I don't know which ones to go for. I'm not too sure how they're exactly uploaded, specifically on the spin pasta. So I'll just ask him for his original post. That's just what it is. But either way, thank you guys for joining me. Like I said, for those of you guys that are watching on Twitch, hang out. There will be more to come. I'm going to be dropping you off with another friend of mine, and I will be back a little bit later on. For those of you guys who are watching on YouTube, thanks for sticking around, listening to me record scary stories. If you'd like to see me more, I'll be back on Twitch later on today. I'm the same name, Mr. Creepypasta. So, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys later.